Hello and welcome to the Brian HORNBACK Experience. This is episode 85, and I've got one of our candidates that's running for countywide office August the 4th. Early voting starts July 15th and runs through the 30th with the general election on August the 4th. She is running for Knox County Commission at-large seat 11. I have none other than Miss Vivian Shipe. How are you, Vivian?
Hello, my friend. I am well.
It is so good to hear you. I tell you what, just to get us started, and I've told you this in person, I remember my first, I've been working since I was a teenager, but my first real job downtown back in about 85 or 86, I remember this great lady working at the postal desk at the downtown post office. And then after I got married in 88 and I moved out to Concord in 92 with my wife and we started a family, I would wind up in the Cedar Bluff post office and there was that lady that was at the downtown post office back in the 80s when I was knocking on every office in downtown Knoxville, and it was none other than Vivian Shipe.
That's what 35 years will do as a civic servant.
35 years working at the post office. You retired there, and you were the president of the National Alliance of Postal and Federal Employees for 25 of those 35 years.
Yes, I followed in my father's footsteps. He was the first president, and then when I grew up and started working there after he passed away, I became the president of the same union.
That is fantastic. I actually just looking at your website, which I will give your website multiple times during this podcast, but I did not. I knew that you know, I worked for the same company for 24 and a half years, and now I'm still selling groceries, which I wasn't selling groceries in 85 and 86. I was selling printing to every lawyer firm in downtown Knoxville back then. But yeah, so it's just funny how we came in contact with each other, and then of course, obviously, since you retired, you've been active. You've been the founding and the director of I Am the Voice of the Voiceless. You've been a founding member of the Faith Leaders Health Initiative. You're an advocate for KUB because back when I was covering, I guess last summer, the KUB going with internet, fiber internet. You were at all those meetings, so you know you've certainly when you retired from the Postal Service, boy, you haven't. I think you've pushed the accelerator, and you've turned it up a notch.
Yeah, my daughter, when I retired, first they took bets on me, Brian, my brother, George, and my daughter for about 3 years because I say I retired. So when I finally told them I was retiring in 2018, they took bets that know that she's not going to do it. So they still owe me that Red Lobster dinner.
There you go.
My daughter said, I thought you retired. You know, when I started doing, because I was doing all this stuff when I was working. I'm just like a time management master. But now I have all the time to do it. I said, well, baby girl, I retired from the post office. I did not retire from life.
There you go. And, you know, and we don't want to miss out that in 2020 and 2021, you helped, how many people did you get to help work on the census in Knoxville and Knox County?
Oh, we recruited about, I guess we were able to recruit and get, we were able to get like 3,000.
I thought it was about 3,000, yeah.
Yes, we pushed the numbers up in like the inner city, like 37915, and then out in Powell, we were able to keep the numbers up by people being counted by about 8%, which was,
wow.
You know, people just don't realize when you look now and you see all of the things that's going on because people didn't get counted, that money makes it different.
Oh, it does, and I think we're just now starting to see the ramifications of the undercount at this point, and here we are in May of 2022. But just so everybody doesn't know, just so everyone understands that you're not a Johnny-come-lately. You're an Austin East graduate. At the age of 41, you earned an associate's degree at Pellissippi State and a master's at Tusculum, and you're a doctorate candidate at Grand Canyon University. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, I try to tell kids all the time, I'm going to, they make this life plan. But, one of the things about life is life happens. So when I was 17, I was on track to, I started on track to be able to graduate early, but my mother got sick. So I dropped out my junior year. But I'll be 41 before I would go back and get that first degree.
Wow.
So after that, I was on track to get, the associates, the bachelors, the masters. And so now again, I'm working on a doctorate. Now I understand why they say that the doctoral degree is a journey. I understand with children with mental illness and then different things that happen in life, best friend with cancer, just things that happen along the way and having to stop. I understand why, and they're running for a commission and, doing the COVID thing and school shut down. So I quit stressing about it a long time ago. It's like, because, with me being a time management person, I'm always like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I'm learning in life, you live every day, tomorrow's not promised. And when you get this little dash between your birth and your death, this is where we live. And so I'm not stressing about the doctoral degree right now because I want to do what I'm supposed to be doing, which is helping other people.
Well, now, and let's go back about 4 years. You had actually considered running for a commission 4 years ago, but there was a little federal hatch act that didn't allow you to do that, right?
That's a little hiccup, and you never know how many people just watch and want to help you to make sure you do things right.
Right.
So in I was going to run before, and I got a call from Washington saying, you cannot run. I said, what do you mean? He said, you are a federal employee, and the Hatch Act prohibits you from running. So I had to drop out of the race then.
Wow. No, that's unfortunate, but hey, everything happens for a reason, right?
Right. You're right. You're exactly right, Brian. Everything does happen. There's a season for everything.
Well, my dog is deciding that he wants to act up. I guess he wants he wants to be heard on the Vivian Shipe Brian HORNBACK Experience. So let's talk. So let's kind of talk about commission. You are now the Democrat candidate for County Commission at Large, seat 11. You've got on your website, which folks can find, it's Vote for Shipe. That's VOTE, the number 4, SHIPE.com. And we'll also give the Facebook and the Instagram at the end. But you give about 5 things on your website. You talk about sustainability. You talk about education. You talk about mental health, which we've had a lot of conversations about mental health in our community recently. Reasonable development, man. This is being recorded on Sunday, May the 22nd. County Commission is going to meet tomorrow, May 23rd, and there's a big thing going on that I've been following for the last couple of weeks out in South Knoxville, where they're trying to cram 255 homes on a small piece of property out there. And then you've also talked about affordable housing. So pick one of those. Maybe let's just talk about education, because you've been an advocate for Knox County schools. So, and I was a school board member for 4 years back 20 years ago, 2000, 2004. Let's talk about education for just a minute. What's your thoughts on education in Knox County and Knoxville?
One of the things that makes it so important to me is it's like, right now, I am one of those grandparents, like you're seeing all across the nation, that are now back in the parenting role, raising, the grandchildren or great-grandchildren. So I really have a real vested interest in when I see what's going on in the school system as far as education all the way across the board. And one of the problems that I have, and I want to, with you having been on the board and you have, the knowledge I don't have yet, is I have never understood why, as a county commissioner, I hand you a check for $542 million. And it's like I give you a blank check, and that you don't come back and you're not accountable to me or anybody about what's going on with that money as it relates to helping every child all the way across the board.
Right.
So that's one thing that I would like to look at, is we really have got to change that. That you have got to, if I give my kid some money, I'm going to expect him to use it and do something responsible with it. I'm not going to expect him to keep coming back to me and say, hey, I need some more, increase this, and I don't see any improvement. So that's one of the problems that I would like to see, is that we got to think differently. We have one of the most diverse school systems in, the whole state of Tennessee. So that's one of the things, one of the things I've been doing has been on a learning tour, Brian. And so now you might have to become one of my subject experts.
There,
Because
well,
what I did was,
I'm no expert. Let's just
well,
make
you
sure
have
everybody knows I'm no expert.
but you got some experience that I
Right,
don't have.
right.
And what I try to tell people all the time is, we started this back in November. So when I got those 5 platforms, I sat down and I started looking at who were the subject matter experts in these fields, who are the teachers or the bankers or the architects or the developers or the people in the mental health field, or and I started asking them, can I have a cup of coffee with you? Can I have lunch with you? And so we started talking, because as an at-large seat, I got to represent the whole county. And,
right.
We got an education barrier right now, because I got so many people coming up to me saying, I want to vote for you so bad, but I don't live in the county. And I try to explain to them, at-large means city or county. You can vote for me. So that's a barrier that we need to work on. But yes, that's that education piece. I need to understand. I wanna be able to help all the children. So that's because I'm looking at it now through the eyes of my grandchildren, one is getting ready to be a senior next year, and one is stepping up and starting their high school years. So I need to make sure that not only my kids, my grandkids, get the best possible education, but all the kids. So
you know what's scary about that is that when I went off the board in 2004, our budget had not quite exceeded $200 million yet. It was between 187 and 191, I believe. So when you throw out the number of 541, that's actually kind of scary. But my wife and I, which I keep my family since 2004, I've kept my family away from the business of politics. But our kids are now 31, 27, and 26. So I totally understand what you're talking about. When if you have to give your kids money, you expect a return on that. And so as we talk about, as we transition then to the next item, which is mental health. We talk, you being the founder and director of I Am the Voice of the Voiceless, I assume mental health is part of that. Mental health consumes a lot of different things, whether that be homelessness, whether that means incarceration, whether that just means people that have to just deal with life in general. We all, at some point, have some aspect of well, if we're living and breathing, we have mental health, right? But at the same time, we have individuals that don't have the proper support. The state of Tennessee, under former Governor Bill Haslam, closed Lakeshore. We don't, Helen Ross McNabb is doing the very best they can. The county is doing, the county's doing what they can with the money they got. But let's talk a little bit about mental health. Let's talk about what you've seen in the community since you've been doing the I Am the Voice of the Voiceless, and what you see. What have we done good, and what do we really have to do to improve the mental health of Knoxville and Knox County going forward?
Well, I always heard that where your heart is, that's where your money is, number one. And wherever your heart is, that's your priority. So one of the things, not only as we come out of COVID, because I'm on the Mental Health Association Board for East Tennessee, is that we already know, number one, the trauma that our children, we are not going to see the results of that, the psychologists saying, for at least 10 to 12 years. Second thing is, they had a lot of physical trauma, because 40%, our child abuse rate went up 40% during COVID.
Wow.
The thing is, everybody in this country, like you, I agree with you. I don't care who you are. As we come through this, everybody needs some therapy because of all that we've been through.
Yeah.
What we're finding is there's not enough. Number one is, when you look at from the school part, there's not enough counselors for the schools. The second thing is there's not enough therapists. It's whether you got private insurance or you don't have any insurance at all. Most of these therapists, when we're talking to them, they're saying, hey, I can't take any more clients. I am as booked as I can be. And some of them are taking their children or their parents, their family to Nashville to get the help that they need, because there's not enough help. So as it comes from the commission side, we need to pour more money into mental health. We need to have the county needs to use the VHUC. I call it the safety center because we fought so long to get it.
Yeah.
I know they call it the Behavioral Health Urgent Care Center, but to me it's the safety center. But 80% of the city officers use the VHUC. but only 2% of the county uses it. So
Wow.
we need to work together to get more of those people processed through there, or we need places like the B-Hub throughout the county. So we have got to acknowledge that, number one, take away the stigma of not being able to talk about mental illness. That's the first thing we got to do. So because everybody needs some help. Whether you're on your job and now they're short staffed, or who you are. Like my son, he worked the other day from 9:30 in the morning to close at midnight. There's not enough help. We just came out of Burlington Coat Factory that's usually open till 10 and 11. The lady said, we don't have enough help. I'm working as hard as I can. They closing at 7:30. So like you said, mental health is taking on a lot of different aspects that we need to be able to address. And the first thing we got to do is we have got to fund the programs that will help the people that are here, and we have got to start pouring some money into. What I try to say is, just like UT goes out and they aggressively recruit for that football team or those coaches, that's what we as a city and a county need to be doing. We need to go out here and we need to recruit those counselors and those therapists from other places, pay them to live, to a good wage to come here so that we can have the help that we need.
Right. And it's there's not much I can add to that. You're exactly right. So let's transition then to affordable housing. I tell you what, occasionally I'll pick up the I've got a house. We bought it we've been paying on it for several years, but I don't know how my kids, who are, as I've already said, are in their late 20s, early 30s, I don't know how they can buy a house today in today's environment. If you're a seller of a house, you're going to make a lot more money than you paid for it 5, 10, 20 years ago. But how do you go buy something when all the houses are in the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 range? And then when I look at apartment guides, apartments are renting for $1,500 to $2,000. That's more than most house payments. So let's talk about affordable housing, and then after affordable housing, we'll kind of talk about responsible development. But the funny thing about it is, I know that over off of Hollywood, over in the Pond Gap community, they built some apartments over there that they got the TIF, and it was supposed to be affordable housing. But I've been told, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong once or twice in my life, that they only allocated like 4 or 5 of those apartments to be, quote, affordable housing. So let's talk about, first of all, we've heard the Board of Realtors talk about the fact that we have a housing crisis, right? But really what we have, and I think the Gatlinburg fire really demonstrated it. You have a lot of people in Gatlinburg that are they're the folks that work in those tourist businesses. But they're living homeless, or they're living in campsites, but they're not able to afford a place to live near Gatlinburg. So let's bring that home to Knoxville. So let's talk about affordable housing.
Yes, and so you hit the nail on the head when you was talking about the working person, the working man that goes out and works in your restaurant so that you can come out and you can go have dinner. The working person that goes in there and cleans the floor, whatever they're doing, that blue collar worker that works, they don't have a place to live. It's called, I know a lot of work, that term, working homeless.
Right.
You see such an increase of the numbers that are living in the extended stay hotels and motels because there's no place to live. I had a lady who told me, she said, I have a home. She said, me and my husband done well over our life. She said, but I don't know how my children are going to have the same standard of life that we do.
Right.
She said, we can't even sell our home
and
move somewhere where we can afford to live and not have to pay exorbitant prices. Now, there's a young lady out here. Well, I say young lady because, she's an older lady, but she's not 120. But she says, I have lived in West Knoxville about 25 years. She said, now I'm on fixed housing, and they raised my rent. She was upset because she was trying to find a place to go. She says, paid $1,100 for years, but next month I got to pay $1,700.
Wow.
How do you jump a $500 increase for some people who are on fixed incomes? How do you do that? Number one, morally and ethically, how do you do that? I understand that everybody and their mama want to move here to Knoxville.
Right.
Everybody's moving here, Philadelphia, California. Everybody's coming in here, and I'm going like, I want the job that they got, that they can come in here and pay $1,500, $1,600 a month. So we got to take care of our people. We've got to find ways. I know, like you said, the realtors. I talked to a gentleman. He said, we stopped building. We're 10 years behind in our building. We have 1,700 units that were not built in the last decade. So now we got to play catch up. But now we're stuck with the fact that, hey, now the lumber's up. There's no concrete. We don't have enough workers. So now now it's a double-edged sword. So we're looking at affordable housing. We have got to find a way. Number one, you can't have the services if you can afford all the different services and everything. You cannot have that if you don't take care of the people who are going to give you the service.
Right.
You cannot. So we have got to find a way to stop. What am I trying to say? Stop courting the people to move here to Knoxville and Knox County and take care of the people who are here. We have got to do that. We got to figure out a way to do both.
Right. Well, and that then goes into this responsible development. A lot of people didn't expect your opponent, and I'm not going to mention her name because this is your 30 minutes. They didn't expect your opponent to win the Republican nomination because she did, because she wasn't supported by all the businesses and the developer types that supported her opponent. But what we find is that these people who talk about the fact that we have this housing shortage, at the same time, during that primary, we find out that there's been 4,000 housing lots approved in just in the Hardin Valley community. So and again, I'm going to come back because until tomorrow night, May 23rd, when the county commission decides whatever they're going to do on Thunder Mountain versus Dry Hollow community out there in South Knoxville, whatever they decide to do out there, I'm going to continue to harp on it. And the fact that, we can't keep throwing 255 houses on 80 acres of land. It just can't happen.
Yes, the land has to be able to sustain, when we're talking about a connection between, man and Mother Earth, and you got to look at your wastewater. You're looking at, you're building stuff, and you're throwing this stuff up at a breakneck speed, and you can't do that. You have got to really start thinking about, we got to get away from profit. I know some people they're making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, but you're overdeveloping one area, you're destroying land. Let's look at, why can't we go out to other areas? Why does everything have to be developing in that one spot? And why are we allowing them to put that much building in that small of an area? We got to have more say-so over the spaces that we are controlling. You know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely. Wow, we're almost 25 minutes in. We could probably we could probably talk for 2 hours. But I do want to remind folks that you can find Vivian Shipe on the internet at Vote for Shipe. That's VOTE, the number 4 Shipe SHIPE.com. You can find her on Facebook at the same place, Vote for Shipe, using the number 4 on Facebook, and you can also find her on Instagram at the same way, Vote for Shipe on Instagram. I just want to give you a few minutes to say what you want to say to the folks that listen to the Brian HORNBACK Experience. I have this on YouTube. I have this on my podcast stream, which is on Anchor FM. And then I also post it on my website, brianhornback.com. So I'm trying. There's a lot of Brian Hornbacks in the world, by the way. I found out. But there's only one me, and I'm trying to dominate every Brian Hornback that I can in the universe. But I just want to give you a few minutes, and let's just talk about what's going to happen in the month of June and July. You and your team, and I know you've got a team, because in order to get to you, I had to get through your team to get to you. So that's phenomenal. You and your team are going to do for the next couple of months in preparation for this campaign. And then what's it look like after August 4th when Vivian Shipe is the county commissioner at large, seat 11?
Well, first I want to thank you for the opportunity to use your platform to get the word out about Team Shipe. Because when we started developing this thing, people said, why you choose purple? I said, because the only way you can get purple is you got to mix red and blue.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's the only way you're going to make purple. You have to mix red and blue. And what we are running is a human campaign. You will never hear us say nothing negative because we are trying to help the people. We don't have time for a lot of nonsense. So what we're doing for June and July, you'll start seeing us. We'll welcome us into your forum. We've asked people to invite us into their home or their organization. We're going on a listening tour again. I like to sit down, and I've been in people's backyards. Just let me sit down and let me hear what you need. Because, see, once you get on a county commission, you can't just do something without knowing what the people need. You got to go all over so you can understand the needs of all the different areas. And then once I get on commission, because I am calling it down here into the manifestation, is that I will always have that cabinet. Those people have said they will agree to continue to meet with me, listen to me, tell me what's going on in their area. So when there's some issue comes up, like, the development, 255 houses in one little spot, I will have a good understanding and an educated understanding what the people want, whether what are the effects on the land or the education, whatever the issue is. I can make a well-rounded decision. And I always want to be the voice for the people like I've been for the last 50 years. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to people. If people will come out and vote, we can win.
Well, Vivian, I appreciate you being on the Brian HORNBACK Experience. Again, folks, go to vote for the number 4, Shipe, SHIPE. That's vote, VOTE, the number 4, Shipe, SHIPE.com. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram in the same place. Again, Vivian, I know, because I'm out and about, you're out and about, I know that we're going to see each other around and about for the next couple of months, and I wish you well. I do appreciate you being on the Brian HORNBACK Experience, and let your team know that any press releases or information I need, you send it to me, and I'll get it on brianhornback.com. And I just appreciate you being a friend. I appreciate you always having a smile on your face and always being Vivian Underwood Shipe.
Bless you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, darling. See you. Bye.